Hi, I'm Chris Martenson of Peak Prosperity, and I have an update for you. It is Saturday, November 28th. It's just after Thanksgiving. I ate too much. To all my U.S. compatriots out there who might have done the same, hey, it happens. So back on the eating regime, or whatever you're calling your way of taking food in. I know I've got some work to do here as well. But you know what? It's kind of fun to let go every so often, but maybe not like the people let go who line up during their holiday in order to go to this ritual that we call Black Friday, which a lot of sort of double entendres in that, which is kind of weird to me because we've been going through this whole Black Lives Matters thing, and here's how I connect those things. Remember, like if a bunch of people of any race, Native American, white, black, whatever, well, maybe not white, but you get where I'm going with this, had shown up somewhere and it created the violence that we see on Black Friday, the nation would be freaking out. They'd be like, oh my God, these people don't respect property, they don't respect life. What they're chasing is minuscule and simply can't be understood. Really, they're going to kill. These people would kill for a rice cooker or take one out of the hands of a child. Check the videos out. You've probably seen them if you want to torment yourself. Look what's going on so-called Black Friday. But my country sort of titters at it, and people are hurt and killed and wounded, and we kind of go, isn't that kind of interesting? Like it's an okay thing. And all I want to do is point out the hypocrisy of these various approaches, right? So if you if you're not even violent at all, like let's say you're, the Occupy Wall Street movement, you haven't done anything. Not one person's been trampled, nobody's been bruised, but the police, the FBI, even the NSA, we can be sure now, all the tools of the state are brought to bear on this because that's not what the state supports, is this idea that people would come together and say, hey, we want to have a say in how things are run too, and we're not happy with the direction of things. So that is not okay. And of course, how many FBI resources do you think were expended checking out the people in the lines in front of Target, Best Buy, Walmart? If you're like me, you think the answer is zero, because that's okay. That's an okay way for my country to go about expressing itself violently if it so chooses. Correct? So that's kind of weird to me. And I find the whole notion of what we support and what we don't support very weird. So look at what the United States is doing diplomatically, geopolitically, in attempting to justify and support its fellow NATO member Turkey after Turkey shot down a Russian jet over Syrian airspace in what was clearly now understood by everybody who looks at this and can do basic math was a provocation. It was an ambush. Turkey waited for that jet to get just close enough to its airspace and then took it out. And that's a pretty serious deal. Now, no Russian jet's been shot out of the sky since like the 50s, so it's a pretty big deal. In case you didn't miss it, that's what happened. So the Syrian airspace, of course, is very crowded, and Russia has now come out with a variety of claims saying things like, we actually told the United States what the flight paths were of all our jets, including that one. And that one we have noted now was being stalked for several days in a row. That flight pattern had been stalked, meaning that every time that flight pattern came up, because it gets closest to Turkey in international space, Turkey would scramble 2, 4, sometimes even 8 jets, F-16s, down to that same region. They just couldn't resist. Turkey waited and was as patient as long as they could, but as soon as that jet was going to fly over this little tiny isthmus of Turkey that extends southward into Syria, Turkey took it out, right, with an air-to-air missile. And then, to make matters worse, the navigator and the pilot are parachuting down some distance apart. The pilot actually lands in Turkmen territory, which are people who speak Turkish, but they live in Syria, and Turkey has alliances with them, which we can understand, right? You get all that. But these Turkmen were shooting at these parachuting pilot and navigator, and then when the pilot got to the ground, they just two shots to the chest, stripped him. Awful. War crimes. These were war crimes, according to the Geneva Convention. So, if you call yourself a nation of rules and war crimes have been committed, particularly by people who are on your side, what do? Well, you have to say that's unacceptable. You call them out on it and you say that's it. That you can't That was, no, you can't do that, right? Instead, what did the United States, oh, that's right. The United States State Department said, according to a spokesman, quote, well, the Turkmen have a right to defend themselves from parachuting, guys who are parachuting out of a stricken plane. It's the Geneva Convention. It's not hard. It's Article 42. Look it up. It's not hard. So if you're a nation of rules, I'm going to submit a few things. If you're actually a nation of rules, if you really legitimately are a nation of rules, two things you don't do. One, you don't put all of the tools of state investigating nonviolent protesters and then give a complete pass to completely violent shoppers, right? Because laws should be equal, right? Two, you don't give a free pass to war crimes when they're committed by one side because you support them, but then make a big deal out of it when the other side does it. Laws are about equality. Morality is not situational. You're either a nation of morals and laws or you're not. All of this connects together for me by saying that, geez, by the time you're fighting over rice cookers and going into fist battles over cheap TVs, you might have lost your way. And where do you lose your way in a company, in a country? Well, the fish rots from the head. If you don't have any laws or morality at the top, you don't get them at the bottom. If the mom and dad in a family are completely amoral people with no values, guess how the kids are going to grow up? It's just how humans are wired. So it's time to face facts. When you watch those Black Friday videos, just watch them and think to yourself, what am I really watching here? Well, you're watching a decay of some kind, right? Obviously, this is not a society functioning at a high level or even levels you would say I resonate with. Oh, that's how I feel about it. Things are really starting to heat up economically across the world. I want to draw your attention. We have a new two-parter at the site by Charles U. Smith. It's about the dollar and how the dollar could go a lot higher. Not because it should for fundamental reasons, but because it will for what we'll call math reasons. They're just, you know, the world's economies are just dollars and yen and euros floating around in massive quantities. And he's got a really neat thesis, and he's been right, by the way. He was absolutely right a couple years ago, very unpopular with some people at our site at the time when he said, hey, the dollar's going to go higher. The dollar was at 78. Today it's at 100. There were a bunch of people who were not particularly enamored with that particular call. It turned out to be right. Charles he's got a great touch on these things. So come by the site, check out that two-parter if you want to know where the dollar is going to go, where the economy might go. And then finally, I will say that our book, Prosper, it's getting really good reviews. I'm really happy to have this out finally because all that stuff I just talked about, all that crazy stuff happening, this is about how you can begin to prepare for that and not prepare in a fearful way, not prepare in a way that's geared around the idea of, oh my gosh, there's terrible stuff coming, I have to survive. But if you follow the advice in this book today, you will have better life today. You will have a better life tomorrow, no matter which future unfolds, whichever one comes. But if some of these more awkward futures come, or even disruptive ones, or even chaotic ones, you'll be extremely happy you made the investment in taking the advice in this book. But if none of that happens, this all still makes sense, because this book is about having better relationships with your neighbors. It's about taking your financial capital, putting it into living capital, helping us be agents of positive abundance and change in this world, whether it's on the human side, the natural side, wherever we want to look at it. It's about understanding our individual role in all of this. This is about reclaiming our personal responsibility. So I'm very happy to have this out, and I'm offering this as an antidote to Black Friday. I'm offering this as an antidote to providing support to a NATO member who just committed a crime and providing an antidote to explaining away war crimes, because none of that stuff applies to you. That's not how you and I are wired. That's why you're watching this. So with that, have a great weekend. We'll see you next time.